Hey everyone, welcome back for part 2 of this video set for week 1. Now following along with our training, the next thing that we do is we're going to be talking about Windows and how to navigate Windows. So when we are navigating Windows, we need to get used to a couple of the functionalities that are within Windows. So when we launch an application, we get this, like what we've been talking about, Windows, right? So you'll see that I launched a Brave application. So let me go ahead and see if I can do this again for you. I'll launch a different one so it opens up in the main screen here. See, let me do this again here so it opens up properly. So if I launch this window, it opens up this screen here, which is our, it's a type of browser, right? So I'm going to go to google.com so it looks familiar to your lesson. And so one of the things that we need to get used to on our browsers is these options right here. You'll notice that there is this line here. And as we mentioned before, when you hover your mouse over something, it's going to tell you what it is. So when I hover over that, it says minimize. So what happens when we minimize something? When we minimize something, we click on it and it goes down to here. Do you see how there's a little line under this icon in our taskbar? Remember, this is our taskbar here. There's a line underneath this icon in our taskbar. That means that this application is open, but it's stored right now somewhere, right? So it's somewhere. So if we click on it again, you don't have to click on the line, just click on the, like for instance, this is this is for Opera, right? It's another browser. I always try different browsers, so you're gonna see a lot of different different things in this class. And it doesn't matter because browsers all do the same thing. They just open up a page to the internet. Okay? So that's what that does. This minimizes, right? And then that brings it back to it restores the window, right? Or actually I should use a different word, but it brings the window back up. So this next button, this one, if you're using Windows 11, when you move your mouse over that button, you'll notice it gives me, after I hover for like a second, brings up these options, right? This is something we'll talk about later, but this allows you to snap windows to the side or to the corners of your screen to kind of make things organized for you so you can have multiple windows open. But in our instance, we're just going to be using this little square. You'll see that it's a single square, right? This is our maximize button. When we click on it, it opens up the window all the way, maximizes it across the screen. So say for instance, like me, for instance, my vision is getting worse as I get older. So it's nice to have a nice big screen. So when I'm looking for AI today, let's just do AI today, right? When I have a lot of screen real estate to look at, right? So it makes it easier for me to see things. But say for instance, I don't want it maximized. You'll notice now this icon is turned into two boxes, two little squares on top of each other. This is the restore option, okay? So you click on that and it restores it back to its original size. Do you see that? So that's something we want to get used to. The minimize, the maximize, and the restore buttons. Finally, if we decide we want to close out of that window, so this window contains a lot of information, right? So if I have all this stuff open, like all these different tabs, these are called tabs. You'll learn about those in the Internet Research class. These are called tabs. But if we close out this window by clicking on this X, you're going to notice that rather than if I click on these X's in the window, like on these tabs, it closes out those tabs. But if I click on this X up here, it closes everything. You see? So that closes out that whole window. So you want to get used to that, using your maximize buttons, your minimize buttons, your restore button, and also that close window button. Okay? So here's something else. Using our same window here. We'll go back to, it doesn't matter if I go to Google or not. It doesn't really matter. But what we want to talk about here is how do you resize this window? Say, for instance, I don't like the size of the window. It's a little too big. It's taking up too much screen and I don't like it. So what I can do is, you'll see my mouse here. When I move to the corner here of this window, I get these handles that pop up. You see, if I move to the side, it gives me this handle going left and right. If I go to this one, to the corner, eventually it'll give me something that looks like a diagonal handle. And up here, this gives me one that goes up and down. You see that? That lets me, once I see that handle here, if I left click and hold it down, you'll notice I can resize that window. You see that? So again, left click, hold it down, and then drag, and I can resize that window. Same thing up here. Left click, hold it down, and I can drag to resize that. So that's how we do that. And if we have more than one window open, like say for instance, I have this PowerPoint window open, right? And I have my browser window, and I'm like, you know what? I can't see my PowerPoint. I want my PowerPoint to be my active window. There's a couple ways to do that. One way is just clicking on that PowerPoint window. You see that? So that lets me make that the active window. Okay. And again, if I want to go back to the browser, I click on the browser window. You can click on this taskbar. You can click on anything, basically. So I click over here. So, say for instance, I have a bunch of stuff on my browser window, on my Windows desktop, right? And I actually have something open here, it looks like. Yeah, I do. So say I have this this window, but I made it really small, right? And I click this, right? I click that. So now that Word document is behind all this stuff, and I can't click on it, right? No matter what I do, I can't click on it. But what you can do instead is, if you look down here, you'll see everything that's open on your computer, right? Everything with a little line underneath it. You see this little tiny line underneath it? This is tells us that these applications are open. And this Word document, if I click on it down here, it brings it to the forefront. So that that helps us here. You see that? So we have different ways of doing things. We can, if we want to click on this window to make it active, we just click on it. We can click on that one to make it active. And if it's hidden behind something, or if you just want to use the options down here, click on that one, and that'll bring that one up too, to make that the active window. You see that? So those are different ways that we can do this. And finally, there's options with shutting down your computer. So as we mentioned before, you can go to here and you can click on this option to click on power, right? All right. In Windows 11, normally it's a power option. So keep in mind this is from a Windows 11 point of view. When you click on that power option, you have a couple options here. You have a sleep option, you have a shutdown option, and you have a restart option. You may also even have a hibernate option, depending on how your computer was set up. So shutdown shuts it all the way down. It's kind of like when you, let me think here, like when you turn off anything, right? If you unplug your TV from the wall, it's completely shut down. Everything's, it's powered down all the way. Sleep, on the other hand, it puts it into a extremely low power mode, to where it almost uses no power at all. But the benefit of that is that if you come back to your computer and you wiggle your mouse around or you press enter on your keyboard, it'll launch your computer right away without you having to go find your power button on your computer and clicking that to turn it back on, right? So, and sometimes they'll even keep the applications that you had open on your computer on your desktop, so you can start back off where you were before. So that's what's good about the sleep option. It does use a tiny bit of power, but you probably won't even notice it. Okay. And restart, that'll just restart your machine. It's always good to restart your machine at least once a week. because it's kind of like when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, if you stay up for 48 hours and someone asks you questions, you're not going to be as good as if you went to sleep that night, right? So same thing as with a computer. If you if your computer is up for too long, you're going to have problems with you might have problems with your computer. So it's always recommended that you turn off your computer at least once a week. That's what I would say. Okay? Thank you very much.